Whenever you're ready.
Alright, hi there everyone. My name is Prabhav and I want to talk about expensive pixels. Specifically, I want to talk about these expensive pixels, which are cosmetic items from Steam's most sold and most played video game called Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Now, in Counter-Strike Global Offensive, players can choose to change the appearance of their weapons, and these appearances, also called skins, can be traded, bought, or sold. And recently, they've been fetching some really high prices, such as that 2014 iBuyPower Kato, which is worth about the down payment on a house, and that factory new souvenir Op Dragonlord, which is worth higher than the actual average house in America. So, with this knowledge, this year I want to know why the hell these CSGO skins are so expensive, and more importantly, is their rapid growth in value sustainable? So, let's start with part one of my question. Why are CSGO skins so valuable? Now, I need to define value, because value is a huge philosophical topic, and I focus on the definition of value as a monetary, material, or assessed worth of an asset, good, or service. When I searched up on EBSCOhost and Google Scholar, why are CSGO skins so expensive? I got literally nothing. This is mostly due to the fact that CSGO is a niche subject, and CSGO skins are a niche subject inside of a niche subject. Most of the research focusing on CSGO skins has to do with the gambling scene associated with it, and the esports teams that are financed by the trade of CSGO skins. To put into perspective, one of the two articles I found when I searched up my question on Google Scholar was made by Charles Daniel Jordan, who was a researcher from Auckland University of Technology, who made a guide for the best weapons to use while playing the game. Does this have anything to do with skins and their value? No. So I was dumb out of luck. So when I wanted to ask the question, why are CSGO skins so valuable, I had to make a methodology. And to ask the question, why are they valuable, I had to ask the question, what makes something valuable? To do this, I used a conceptual concept analysis, which meant that I would read publications, find similar ideas in those publications, and try to rank those ideas by their usefulness. Specifically, to find my publications, I use keywords such as the evaluation of attributes of value, intangible and intangible assets. After I found related reasons of value or major drivers of value, I charted the number of repeated ideas throughout those publications. After that, I needed to see if those major value drivers were actually correlated in CSGO. So I needed to see if it was actually in the CS economy. Throughout my reading, I read 17 different publications exploring 6 different industries. These industries ranged from accounting to healthcare. And throughout my research, I charted 11 similar attributes of value. Over here, you have the 4 topmost attributes of value. All of them, except for sentiment, have been seen in more than 12 out of the 17 publications. Now, 17 is an annoying attribute of value to take into account. Simply put, sentiment only takes into account the monetary value for an individual or small community, which therefore, in relation to my question, would ask the broad market value of a CSGO skin, does not account for is not a reliable indicator of that value. So, when deciding to go forward with my research, I only used the top 3 most repeated attributes of value from those 17 research papers. Now, let's start with the first attribute of value, starting with scarcity. Scarcity is the fundamental microeconomic concept that when there is a quantity of a commodity that falls short of the quantity of the commodity that is demanded, there will be a hiring in the price, as the average person will pay more for that object or that commodity as there is less in the ecosystem. Next, let's talk about a competitive market. According to N. Gregory Mankiw, who is the current Harvard professor of economics, a competitive market is parallel to using the market value to describe the actual value of a good. For there to be a competitive market, there has to be many buyers and sellers in the market, and the goods offered by the various sellers have to be similar. Next, let's go into the utility of a product. According to Dr. Verna Ali, who is a researcher at University of Pennsylvania who worked with IBM to evaluate the value of intangible assets, which includes data, employee knowledge, and brand name. The value of an intangible asset, which means an asset that is not physical by any means, can be derived from the monetary, economic, and productive gains firms experience through the usage of that commodity. So now that we have our three major attributes, let's see if they're actually in the CSGO market system. Starting off with scarcity. In CSGO, there's a limited number of skins and loot boxes, and skins are obtained through the opening of these loot boxes. Once a loot box is opened, it cannot be reopened. And inside these loot boxes, there are different tiers of skins with different probabilities of them being dropped. Usually, and this is in the case for all CSGO skins, the rarer or the less chance you have of getting that item dropped, the higher the price is. And every single skin has proprietary values attached to that skin with different probabilities that make the type of that skin getting dropped rarer. Let's go back to this example. If any of you are paying attention, this is a factory new Vice gloves worth around $40,000. The chance of you getting this drop is 1 in 130,208. It is incredibly scarce, and there are less than 30 of them in the CSGO market today, which is why it is very expensive. Now let's talk about the utility. Simply put, the utility of a CSGO skin is to be seen and to look good. Over here, we see a screenshot of what a player would see when they're playing the game. On the hands, you see the factory new Vice gloves. Gloves are an important aspect of the CSGO economy, as they're the only type of skin that are seen 100% throughout the gameplay. All other items do not have 100% of screen time, such as the knife, which is the second most seen item while playing the game, which only has a 66% screen time. Now, what does this mean for value? It means that the more you see the skin, the higher value it has, which is proved by the fact that the lowest costing glove is $90, and that glove is a well-worn, battle-scarred transport glove. However, the cheapest knife that you could get, which is $60, is a battle-scarred Navaja Sting. Now let's go on to competition. Now let's go on to competition. So competition comes from the player base. As over the last 6 months, the average monthly players have increased a total of 40.5%, which means that there are more buyers and sellers of CSGO skins in the market, which means that the actual market evaluation, the market value, is a more reliable indicator as it shows what the player base wants and doesn't want. So what are the conclusion and implications of this? So we can conclude that the CSGO skin market is valuable, and it is valued at a certain rate because it follows the same value evaluation methods seen by different industries, whether it's accounting, healthcare, or technology. The implications of this is that the $10 billion skin economy that is based around the fundamental asset of a skin is justified in the aspect that the valuations of those skins are complete and thorough. And the last implication of this is that CSGO skins are a rare speed of asset. They are not taxed or monitored by any governmental agencies, and they are regularly internationally traded, which means that they are great for money laundering. Recently, there has been action tried to be taken against the money laundering aspects of CSGO skins. However, governments fail to see the fundamental value of the CSGO skins. Now that we have proven that CSGO skins have a fundamental value, legal action can be taken against international money laundering. Now, let's go on to the second part of my research question. Is the growth of value of CSGO skins sustainable? To do this, I used a simple methodology. I compared the growth of CSGO skins as a whole with an index. specifically the Standard & Poor Goldman Sachs Commodities Index, which tracks the performance of 24 diversified commodities and takes into account only actively produced commodities with high volumes of trading. To do this, I created an index of my own, but instead of using commodities, I use CSGO skins. In total, I used 24 of the highest volume and actively produced CSGO skins, using the exact same weighting of the commodity types from the commodities index. The highest, as you can see, energy is the highest weighted inside the commodities index, and it's the most highly traded commodity. Similarly, I use knives, different CS knives, as the highest weighting inside the CS index, as they are the highest traded volume of type of skin. I used this index, and I created this index over a 6-month period. And this is a chart showing the actual performance of the different indexes over that 6-month period. What we could see is that the commodities index decreased in performance by 8.6%, while the CS index increased in performance by 77.3%. Now, does this mean that CSGO skins are going to rapidly rise in value forever? No, it's not as simple as that. You see, CS skins are luxury items. Therefore, they have no absolute value in the real world as they do not pose an actual use, which means that the people buying them have the money to buy them. The commodities index, on the other hand, is an international index that is based on the global economy. And over the last 6 months, there has been fears of worldwide global recession, which has dampened the cost and future values of oil, which is why over the last 6 months it has lessened in value. The CS index, however, raised in value 77.6% because of two main reasons. One, an increase in the player base. The player base has increased more than 77.6%, and current hype for CSGO's next sequel, CS2, has pushed increased media attention, which has driven the demand for CS skins higher, hence increasing the value of its skins. Is this growth sustainable? No, because as the hype dies down, there will be a sell-off in skins, and that sell-off will put pressure on the price to come back down. Thank you, and these are my quick study.
All right. So we have some questions from our panelists. Anything in the highlighted area?
All right. Which of the various perspectives you explored was the most difficult for you to incorporate into your research inquiry, and why?
Right, so I have played Counter-Strike Global Offensive since I was 12, and because of that, I love the game, and I've invested in skins throughout my lifetime. So when I looked at the possibility of my current investments falling in value, I was kind of sad. So when looking at the perspective of the long-time sustainability of value, it was hard for me to take my bias out of the count. And that was definitely the hardest perspective that I had to look at throughout this research.
All right. First, I would like to say your research gave me an understanding of the potential that crypto and NFTs have in video games. And my question would be, what was the fundamental idea in the research? And how did this argument idea relate to the primary purpose of your research?
Right. So the fundamental argument that I wanted to find out is what makes something valuable and how I could connect that to a specific type of commodity or an asset. Throughout my research, my original research, when I looked through the 17 publications, I aimed to look at as diverse of industries as I can. Specifically, I looked at the regulars like accounting and economics, but I also focused on technology, agriculture, and healthcare to see how those industries themselves value things. One of the best publications that I read was how a certain how Pfizer valued a drug that tried to cure cancer, and how they priced that with insurance companies for cancer patients. So that fundamental value of what actually creates value is the fundamental argument that I tried to figure out.
Okay. Think about the initial curiosity that led you to your inquiry. What other areas of inquiry might the same curiosity lead to?
Well, specifically, this is kind of my area of inquiry is heavily. Wait, could you repeat the question again?
Sure. Think about the initial curiosity that led to your inquiry. What other areas of inquiry might the same curiosity lead to?
Right. So my initial area of curiosity was simply why is it so expensive? So if we are to look at other commodities that may not seem expensive but actually are, I would like to research those commodities. For example, eggs. Eggs in I believe February increased by 77% in prices. While this is a short-term hike, it had major catastrophes for businesses that use egg, for different wholesalers whose profits were cut and lost. And these broad areas where a simple price increase could affect, I would like to research those specific topics.
Okay. Any other questions from the panelists?
I do actually. So, why would large companies and wealthy investors want to get involved in the video game NFT market if there aren't any assets they actually want?
Right. So an important factor of this is that these kind of aren't NFTs. These are actual items that Valve, the company, has put into the game, and they've limited the supply of them. But more importantly, this market is completely unregulated. Over the last couple of years that I have been a part of it, there have been hundreds of pump and dumps. So if you are a nefarious, wealthy investor, you could turn a quick profit by constricting the supply of a specific type of skin, and then having you and your buddies constantly buy it to keep the value up, and then sell it off massively. In fact, over the pandemic, there was this one guy called Lunar, and he tried to do this. He was a crypto millionaire. He was worth about $200 million. And he tried to corner the whole CSGO market by buying up as many gloves and knives as he can. What happened was he didn't realize that the CSGO market is not like the crypto market, and in fact, these skins are constantly produced daily. So he couldn't keep buying those gloves and knives at the rate that they were being produced. And what happened is that his net worth halved from 200 million to 100 million because of that scheme. So it's dangerous.
So as from my understanding, when you buy an NFT, you are buying ownership of a link to a copy of a digital product, as opposed to owning the intellectual property or copyright, is it?
Yeah, so when you buy a skin, you're actually owning that skin. Like, there is no link. You have an actual unique item that is yours. Cool. Yeah. Any other questions?
Any other questions from the audience?
Yeah.
How does the rise of popularity how Valve,
Right. So CSGO before had a huge corner on the FPS market. There were no other competitors in its vicinity, and all of that tried to compete in this market were quickly decimated. Valorant is a unique case in which it has a production house with as much legacy and even more resources put to develop the actual game than CSGO. CSGO has taken over the last 4 years, which Valorant has been out, massive player number losses. However, thankfully, due to its long-awaited sequel, the player numbers have been coming back. So what's happened is that the market share of CSGO hasn't necessarily halved. In fact, it's only gone down by about 20%, from 100% to 80%. Mostly due to the fact that Valorant, while debatably is a good game and it's an easy game to run on a computer, CSGO is still more, it's much easier to run on lower or older types of computing systems.
All right, thank you very much.